Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to another Magic the Gathering online league. We're once again back with Eldrazi Ramp, this time with 99.9 less lag. So excited about that. Not excited about these hands, though. They are god-awful. So we're only down to 6. We're going to get into 5. We'll keep this one. So we really want a temple. Let's get rid of these. Keep it. Reveal Devourer. Trigger on the stack. Malevolent Rumble would be fine. Temple would be good. Okay, I mean, let's grab Ugin's Lab. I think that makes the most sense here. Like, yeah, we could go Rumble. So, okay, so Rumble lets us go deeper. Command lets us cast Sowing Megaspawn turn 3 guaranteed. So let's go Ugin's Lab. Let's go Temple Pass. And pass. We'll then Imprint Devour, hold up Command, and go Command X2 either on opponent's end step or depending on what they're playing, maybe upkeep. I'll then play Wooded Foothill and ideally kick a Sowing Megaspawn on turn 3. Okay, Flooded Strand. Okay, so this looks like it is Dimir Oculus. A little bit unfortunate. I think they should grab the Kozilek's command, at least based on what they're seeing. That would make the most sense, at least to me. I'd be surprised if it didn't make the most sense to them as well. Otherwise, they could grab the Sowing Mycospawn. Yeah, I think the command makes the most sense. Alright, let's go Lab. We'll Imprint. That was unfortunate. So now we need to high roll into something else. Imprint Devourer. And we'll hold up the ability to respond in case something comes up, though unlikely as it may be. And next turn we should be able to, at the very least, Sowing Mycospawn and Ramp. A Crackwood Strand. Grabbing an island. Casting a Psychic Frog. Yep, that Kozilek's command would have been good. Oh, let's go Wooded Foothills. Let's grab a forest. Let's play a Sowing Mycospawn. Let's fetch for a... So they're 1 mana away from a Harbinger. I guess we have the forest as backup, so let's fetch for a Eldrazi Temple. Sowing Mycospawn will resolve. And let's play a Talisman of Impulse. And pass. 2, 4, 5, 6. A land allows us to cast Devourer. Okay. If they Harbinger, then we are set back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we need our top decks to be good. I mean, if there's no Harbinger, we can cast anything off the top of our deck with the exception of Emrakul. If it's a land, we're able to cast Devourer. So overall, I would say we set ourselves up for success here, lest they have a Consign to Memory in hand. They did draw main, so they're short on mana for Harbinger unless they have an Unearth. They play a Polluted Delta. Well, they fetch with Delta for a Surveil land. They currently have 4 cards in exile, so they're short on both. Okay, 5 cards in exile, so they're short on mana for Oculus, but if they grab an untapped blue, which they don't, okay, could be another frog. Otherwise, Frog Pitch Harbinger Unearth. That would be the most damaging to me. Push on Mycospawn. Okay. Annoying, but not the end of the world. That leaves up 1 blue source. We pitch anything. They pitch a Stern Scolding. Okay. Alright, well, this will allow us to now grab back Devourer and cast Devourer, exiling the frog. Do you have Consigned to Memory in your main board? Most Dimir Oculus lists are running a minimum of 1. There's a Consider, so no Consign. Potentially, they're looking for something they could pitch to an Unearth. Harbinger's in the grave, so that could be Unearthed. That's not great, but a 6/6 beater on board does make their life more difficult. So even if they do cast or Unearth Harbinger, we'll be in an okay position, especially with 6 mana, as that allows us to cast majority of our deck. Shoot the Sheriff's Unfortunate. Do you have an Unearth as well? That would be backbreaking. There's black. They don't need a Thoughtseize me, so that's an Unearth for a Harbinger. Yes. 4 card types in Yard, so we can play Karn, Thought-Knot, Sowing Mycospawn. Unfortunately drawn to a land. No reason to reveal that right now, so we'll just pass. The things we can't cast right now, Devourer of Destiny, Kozilek's Command, Emrakul. Everything else should be pretty solid. So we have a lot of options to us. The worst thing that can happen here is just drawing into nothing but lands. 3 with 10 Engrave, that is an Oculus. So a World Breaker would be ideal off the top. That way we can block the flyer. Trigger resolves. Alright, well there's the World Breaker. We ask and we receive. World Breaker, we'll get rid of your second island here. Actually, I guess if we get rid of anything, it should be the Watery Grave that acts as their second island anyways. Though we could get rid of their swamp, and that basically removes their ability for removal or for frog, but it might be more important for us to get rid of their ability to counter what we're casting. So let's get rid of the Watery Grave. So it leaves them with blue-black. And as long as they don't have another blue source, we should be free to cast whatever we draw. Well, there's the Psychic Frog. I don't think they can attack in at this point, but they are setting up a lethal board state. Trigger from Abhorrent Oculus resolves. Again, the worst thing we can see is Devourer or Kozilek's Command. Malevolent Rumble. Let's see if this resolves through a force. If they have a force, they should cast it. They do not. So, ooh, Kozilek's Return and going into the graveyard. That's fantastic. So in Mycospawn would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can kick the Mycospawn. That would be good too. Let's do that. So we're going to kick the Mycospawn. and get rid of their second blue source, or rather their only remaining blue source. That way they cannot counter our spells, even if they were to draw into another island. Then I guess we'll grab another temple. 5 types in yard, and we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we can officially cast everything in our deck with the exception of Devourer of Destiny and Kozilek's Command. We can cast everything else though. Opponent does not attack. Abhorrent Oculus trigger. We need to keep up with these triggers, but if we can cast a spell 7 mana or greater, there's a Karn. Okay. Let's cast Karn. You need a force. You do not have a force, which now allows us to grab an Ensnaring Bridge. And the reason why this is really good for us is that the only way they can deal with Bridge is by either countering it or by Sink into Stupor. Without Sink into Stupor, the Bridge will take over the game, and we should be good to go. Spell Pierce. They had the Spell Pierce. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, Karn will likely die. I guess something that we could have grabbed instead, theoretically, would have been a Cityscape Leveler for next turn. That is unfortunate, though. Well, opponent is going to have to utilize resources to get rid of Karn, so that's the good news. We're not dead, and Karn will act as a sponge and reduce their resources on board. I think if Karn does survive, if for some reason our opponent does not attack, wishing for Cityscape Leveler will be the next best choice. Just really unfortunate that we were a mana short for that Spell Pierce. I mean, they have to recognize Karn needs to die. So they're going to send Manifest Creatures Karn's way. So 3 Manifest Creatures, and oh, please give me the Harbinger. I mean, you have to have an Unearth, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So we'll take the Harbinger, take a Manifest Creature. If you have an Unearth, you have an Unearth. But I'll gladly take that Harbinger. Oh, one of their Sink into Stupors was actually underneath that Manifest. Pitch an Oculus. So we're going to see an Unearth. Yes, on the Oculus, though. Okay, so once again building the board state. We need a 7 mana value spell off the top. Specifically, it could actually be anything with the exception of Kozilek's Command. Anything else, and we're golden. That's a Talisman of Impulse. We will cast it, but now we're in a bit of a dire situation with 2 Abhorrent Oculus and a Psychic Frog staring us down. Well, kind of wishing that I had wished for a Cityscape Leveler. I'll be honest, was not expecting that Spell Pierce. If we had wished for the Cityscape Leveler, we would have the board cleared. So it's unfortunate that I didn't. So, was it a mistake? Maybe. Karn resolving suggested to me that they didn't have a force. So, it was surprising to see the Spell Pierce, to be transparent. I mean, they need to apply pressure at some point. They're sitting behind this Kozilek's Return and just hoping I don't draw into something to trigger it. And I'm just sitting here hoping that I'm going to friggin' trigger it. Okay. Let's go Karn the Great Creator. Do you have a Force of Negation? You do not. I have 5 mana available to me right now. Unfortunately, you countered the Ensnaring Bridge. You did not do anything else. So I think the best thing I can do here is grab Engineered Explosives. That's going to set them back significantly. So we'll grab the Engineered Explosives on 0. Does Engineered Explosives resolve? It does. I am not going to give you the opportunity to flip any of those manifest creatures. We are just going to blow this up now. All right, the board is lighter. They no longer have the advantage that they were looking for. Karn is now on board, and they need to deal with it. So once again, they're going to have to sacrifice something in order to stabilize. If they don't, the board will be cleared, and we will have an ample number of threats in order to close out the game. All right, sending Oculus. Yep, sending the party at Karn. Question is what we want to kill. I think we kill an Oculus. There's no guarantee that we kill the frog. If they wanted to save the frog, they would need to pitch their entire hand. They'll float the frog. Well, we'll go ahead and... do we block the Oculus or block the frog? Let's block the Oculus. And Karn will go down. I guess maybe blocking the frog would have been right to stop them from drawing a card. I did forget it also triggered on hitting a Planeswalker, not just a player. Thought Scour. My opponent's light on cards right now in their library. Oculus trigger. There it is. This works out perfectly. We're able to get rid of the frog without any concern. They specifically are going to need a... Actually, before we do this, I'm going to attack the Sowing Megaspawn. I'm going to hold back the Breaker just in case there is a world where the trigger from Kozilek's Return does not resolve. We'll attack the Sowing Megaspawn. No blocks from opponent. Okay, let's send it. We'll exile the frog. And then return. Now the neat thing is, if they have a consign, they would have to replicate it once. Let me actually take a look at the graveyard. Do you have any consigns in here? Not a single one. Okay, they pitch a Harbinger to Frog. They're going to pitch 2 more. Okay. Very good. Yeah, the fact they were pitching told me they didn't have the consign. So, Dimir... I'm going to change all of my... in my data, all Dimir Murktide to Dimir Oculus at this point. Good win for game 1. Now, my sideboard guide does say for me to bring in Dismember over Return. I don't know. Dismember does feel better in most cases, but Return like that was fantastic. But I think Dismember is beneficial in the fact that it's able to get rid of Harbinger more efficiently. So I think we'll bring in the Dismember after all. But solid game and no lag, so very excited about that. course, they'll be bringing in Consigned to Memory, which doesn't seem like they had any main board. I only saw one Sink in a Stupor as well, which is important to note. So that's helpful to know for Bridge as well. As far as other cards they might bring in, more Harbingers. But other than that, I don't think there'll be too many changes that we see from their side. Wonder if there's anything we want to change and or test while the all access pass is going on. I don't know. I'd have to give that some thought. Right now, just trying to collect enough data to see whether or not like cards like Thought Not Seer should stay in board, or if we should bring in Ancient Stirrings instead. So there's a lot for us to consider. On the draw for game 2, I'll keep this hand. It's speculative and is going to be solely based off this Devourer. We're looking for a forest, an untapped forest to be exact. Thoughtseize. If you're looking at this hand right now, probably Kozilek's Command is still the best bet. It is probably the most interactive card in this hand. Yes, Soy Megaspawn can ramp me, but I think Kozilek's Command is the card that needs to be removed. Because if I find a Temple or another Soul Land off of Devourer, Command gets infinitely better. Karn is okay, you can force that. Soy Megaspawn does ramp me, but yeah, Command is the right choice. Trigger. There's the Verdant Catacombs. Play Verdant Catacombs. Sacrifice Verdant Catacombs. Grab a Forest. Utopia Sprawl. On black, it does resolve. And pass. And pass. I will tuck the Emrakul instead of the Devourer. Though, maybe there's some argument to tucking the Devourer because it's harder to cast underneath Harbinger. I think there might be an argument for that, so we'll tuck the Devourer in order to then cast the Sowing Mycospawn to ramp further. No plays. Well, a second Devourer helps. Makes our choices easier. We'll imprint the Devourer. And then let's go ahead and cast the Sowing Mycospawn. Do you have a Consigned to Memory? Opponent is thinking. If you have it, now's the time to play it. Otherwise, we do ramp harder into... Yep, there's the Consign. A little bit unfortunate to see... We'll have, what, 4 card types in Yard now? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are 5 short on the Emrakul. We'll play Karn next turn and probably grab Bridge if it resolves. Now, if they do cast a Harbinger of the Seas, that will make my life significantly more difficult. Well, Kraken and Bloodstained Mire, they don't have enough cards in Graveyard for either an Oculus or a Murktide. So it's just to me, if they shock this in, that it's going to be likely a Harbinger. Black. Could be just a Thoughtseize. Taking Karn. Engineered Explosives X1. Fascinating. I don't think that's correct, but it did reduce the amount of mana I have down to 3. Thankfully, did find the land. So that was null and void, but... fascinating to see that come in, especially with me playing Karn. I find that's a little bit dangerous. Speaking of Karn, we'll cast Karn. Does Karn resolve or do you have a force? Karn resolves. We'll minus Karn. And we will grab Ensnaring Bridge. Again, the only way they get around Ensnaring Bridge really is Frog, which they'd be beating me in the face with a 2/2 Frog a turn at a time, hoping I don't just cast things, as well as Sink in a Stupor. So if Bridge does resolve, they're going to have a hard time playing around it. Harbinger to sea, that's fine. We still have enough for bridge. So unless they drew into a force, which doesn't look like it, now they could have another Spell Pierce, which would be kind of funny. Well, we'll play the Windswept Teeth, and let's attempt to resolve bridge. Bridge resolves. All right, well, we will... So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are 4 off of Emrakul. They have 4 cards in graveyard, so they are 1 land off of a Murktide, though we didn't see any last game. We could go Tormod's Crypt, however, there's also an argument to just ticking up on Karn and just making life a little bit more difficult. So I'll do that and see what we draw into next turn. If Karn's going to die, then we can at least take it down for value, not to mention put it into grave for another type, reducing the amount of mana required from 13 down to 7. Right? 7? Yeah, we'd be only 2 lands off of Emrakul. Not to mention we could go deeper. Thought Scour. Another Harbinger in grave. Harbinger will attack Karn. Well, they don't cast a Oculus. They don't as a frog. Another Karn. Funny. Well, we'll go ahead and minus Karn. Let's try and unlock our lands and grab a Walking Ballista. X2. Does Walking Ballista resolve? Walking Ballista does resolve. Alright, well, we will pass it back to opponent. Unless they float the frog, we'll block it. If they float the frog, they'll still have enough for an Oculus. They're definitely thinking about floating the frog. Okay, they float the frog. We're not going to kill the frog. So that's fine. I think there's an argument to taking the damage from both, allowing me to kill the Harbinger on end step, avoiding a potential unearth. Now, of course, they could unearth the second Harbinger, so it's a bit of a moot point, but it at least gets them to use the unearth. The end step. Ping. And ping. This will add another type to the yard. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A land lets us resolve an Emrakul. Missed the land, so a bit unfortunate there. I'll crack a Windswept Heath, grabbing a forest. Well, let's attempt to resolve the Talisman of Impulse. That resolves, and let's attempt to resolve another Karn. Does Karn resolve? Consider. So they might not have an option. They do top deck whatever they saw. And there's a force. That tells me they do not have a counter spell. Okay, we'll pass. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. So we have enough for Emrakul now. If we draw into a land, Devour is also a good option, and honestly one that I think I'm considering more than casting Emrakul outright. Now, if they do bring back Harbinger, we'll need a land. Okay, well, we find another Karn. The problem is taking control of their turn really doesn't do much right now. I guess we could grow their frog bigger than what they can attack with the ensnaring bridge. That's a thought. Versus if we were to cast Karn, what would he fetch for? I guess a Tormod's Crypt? That'd be about it. Actually, maybe a second Talisman. Hold up, that's a thought. Let's Karn Resolve. Okay, we got the Consigned Memory. So we've seen the forest, we saw the Consign. They're running out of options for this Emrakul. Sink in a Stupor hits the bridge. That's fine, but they're not in a position where they can really make use of that. I guess they can counter it for what it's worth. Thoughtseize. Okay, you're not going to be happy with what you see. I'll be honest with you here. You can take the bridge, but I'm sitting on this Emrakul. I don't think you can ignore that. And I have the mana and card types that cast it too. So you might have to pass on taking this bridge, which also puts you in an equally tough position. Now this is interesting. Depending on what they take tells me what they have access to in their hand, I think. I'm very curious about what they pick now. I mean, if I draw a land... Okay, I was about to say, they have to pick the Emrakul. That tells me, like I said, a lot about what they have in their hand. It means they do not have a Consign to Memory to deal with that. Probably not even a counter spell. They draw another card. They're running the clock too. There's only game 2 and they're down to 6 minutes. So they're also running the clock. Unearth a Harbinger of the Seas. That is fine. We can leave the Devour underneath. Okay, so that does shut off the Devourer. Rumble. Well, let's cast Rumble. Does Rumble resolve? Rumble resolves. We have a Karn and a Thought-Knot Seer. Let's grab the Karn. And let's attempt to resolve Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, bridge back on board. And that may have been their only sink in the stupor to manage that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need a land in order to cast Devourer and get rid of this frog. Flying, yeah, that's fine. I guess we could get rid of Harbinger as well for what it's worth. That looks like an Oculus if I've ever seen one. So a land lets us cast a Devourer, getting rid of Harbinger. Alright, trigger resolves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are short 1. So we will attempt to resolve Karn. Karn resolve. Karn resolves. What can we do with this now? Well, the manifest creature will attack. That much is a guarantee. I mean, we could go EEX0 to get rid of the manifest creature. That's okay. We could go Haywire Might to block. That's okay. Yeah, right now just trying to stem the bleeding long enough. So Let's go Haywire Might and cast Haywire Might and pass. This way we have a blocker, we gain a bit of life, so we're able to stabilize a little bit while we try and address the current situation. I mean, you have to attack Karn. You can't ignore Karn. That's a matter of fact here. They'll float the frog, and then they pitch 2 cards in order to remove. No, I can't block, so... Pitch 1 card, Watery Grave. Pitch 2 cards, Flooded Strand. Karn down. 1 land is all I need. Unearth another Harbinger. Okay, so getting rid of Harbinger really doesn't matter now. Utopia Sprawl. This is mana neutral, so this is not, unfortunately, enough for us to cast either Worldbreaker or Devourer. We'll generate black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we're short 1, so that's fine. We'll pass the turn to opponent. And we will hold up the ability to respond just in case there's a world where we need to activate Haywire Might. I don't think there is, but you never know. Frog is now too big to attack, I do want to note, so they can only attack with Harbinger and the Manifest creatures. Fae of Wishes. Free the Fae targeting you. You find an EE. You could go EE2. That's not enough. And also not to mention instant sorcery, so you choose Shoot the Sheriff. Okay, that's fine. I think you lose to time, though. You attack if you're X2s, or I guess 2 X's. Yeah, no reason not to block here with our Haywire Might. Like I said, reduces some damage, gains some life back, stabilizing. We have enough mana next turn. Oh, okay, well, an Oculus does get through. So that means I have to block a... Oh, I don't want to do that. So we need to block. So I need to block 2 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we really need to draw into a land next turn. Otherwise, I think we do lose. Alright, and pass. Oculus trigger number 1. So we need a land. That is not a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunate. Well, I will force them to burn some time since they're already down to 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Unfortunate. Nope, and they had the Petty Theft for the Ensnaring Bridge as well. So, didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. All right, well, that's a loss in game 2. Let's move on to game 3. And we'll run it back all the same. All right, on the play for game 3, I will keep this hand. I will... Do we reveal Devourer? Could still be nice to have a Rumble. So let's reveal the Devourer. Let's see. We go Shifting Woodlands tapped, Windswept Heath. Utopia Sprawl's mana neutral. We don't have any colorless for command, so I think we grab the Myco Spawn. Let's Shifting Woodland and pass. And pass. Fetching with Flooded Strand. Watergrave. Shock. Another Thoughtseize? Thoughtseize. Do you take Karn, the Great Creator? No, you take Utopia Sprawl. I think that's a mistake. Let's go ahead and pass the turn, and I guess hold up on end step. I guess there is a world where they could unearth a Harbinger, so maybe we hold the ability to respond. Consider. Yes, consider your options, opponent. Which is an Horrent Oculus. Do you have the unearth? That would be the play here. You do. Well, let's crack the Windswept Teeth. Let's grab a forest and pass. Well, that probably was the most unfortunate thing that could have happened. Well, we will tap that. That Utopia Sprawl being grabbed now looks a lot better since we can't ramp into one of these Devourers. That's 7 damage on the board. This might be fast enough for their 2-minute clock. Wow. That would be something. This is an additional 9 damage on board. I'll play the Talisman. They're going to Spell Snare it. Yeah, I think they have it. Wow. I mean, yeah, a turn 2 Abhorrent Oculus is kind of obscene. It just puts so much pressure on the board. And I've talked about before where, like, I think in the future, something like, oh, they have a frog. Yeah, that's lethal. You pitch 3 cards. Actually, 4 cards. Right, 4, 5. 5 cards. Your entire hand. You pitch that, you win. Yep. Yep. Oh, that's so unfortunate. One good for a good measure. And you got there. Wow. With 1 minute and 10 seconds left on their clock. I mean, I don't know what to say there. I mean, it's a slow hand for a turn 3 Sowing Mycospawn. Should we have mulliganed? Yeah, maybe my mistake there was thinking that they wouldn't be able to race us down with the amount of time they had on clock, and that a mid or mediocre hand would be enough to get us there. I think you could argue that I need to mulligan. Go down to at least 6 cards, if not more, for a faster hand. I think that could be argued. I think also, though, just a turn 2 Oculus on the play is obscene and almost impossible for me to really interact with in a meaningful fashion. So I'm not sure if it really would have mattered, but I can concede that I probably should have mulliganed my opening hand. That said, we'll be back for match 2. Alright, and we are back for match 2 on the draw for game 1. This hand is keepable. We'll pass to our opponent. There's either turn 2 Mycospawn or a turn 2 Kozilek's Command. So overall, looks solid. Godless Shrine, shocked into an Aether Vial. Okay. Well, let's go Utopia Sprawl on green. On green, yes. Because if I do that... No, it's fine on red here, actually. Never mind. If we're looking at a turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer or Kozilek's Command on red is fine. Another Aether Vial. Do you have no lands? Okay. Well, this is tempting. I'm very tempted to go Sowing Mycospawn and kick. But let's take a look at what's in your hand with Thought-Knot. What you got there, opponent? You and your 1 land hand. Solitude. Yeah, that's fine. You pitch a Flicker Wisp. So it's the Orzhav Midrange deck. Recruit of the Guard or Overlord of the Baelmerk. They can't play Recruiter. They can play an Overlord. Am I worried about the Overlords right now? No, I think I'm more worried about Recruiter. So I'll take care of Recruiter for now. They did draw into a land, mind you. So we can go mana neutral on this Utopia Sprawl and then maybe a Kozilek's Command. Yep, there's an Overlord of Baelmerk. What they see? Looks like Orcish Bowmaster. I guess they can bring back the Solitude, right? Emrakul. Okay, well, we will shock. We will forest. On the forest. For green. So I do have a command X3. Otherwise, we can ramp with Mycospawn. I mean, we can ramp with either or, so let's actually just pass. And then we can actually kick with Mycospawn next turn, get rid of a Godless Shrine. Bringing in what? Felia. Yes, that's fine. We'll go to combat and then remove Felia and ramp. One unknown in hand. Draw, main, 2 unknowns. Silent Clearing and paying cost for another Overlord of the Baelmerk. Yes, that will resolve. Trigger. Another Solitude. I guess actually we know what the last card is. It's a Solitude. They'll grab Recruiter of the Guard. Before combat, let's ramp and exile. Now they can cast Recruiter of the Guard, or rather put it into play with Aether Vial. So I do want to note that. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're too short on the Emrakul. There's Recruit of the Guard. And then they're going to find what? Do they have anything where they could flicker the Felia to avoid being exiled? Charming Prince. Look at you. That is cute. Yes, Charming Prince will flicker the Felia. Now, is it only creature? Exile another target creature you own. Yes. So it will flicker the Felia. We'll still get our 3 for what it's worth, so I'm not all too concerned about that. Triggers from the Overlord and the Charming Prince. Another Sowing Mycospawn. Well, we need at least X2 for the Sowing for the Kozilek's command. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sowing Mycospawn will get rid of... I guess we could get rid of the Silent Clearing. That way they have one less draw, potentially. So get rid of Silent Clearing. And we'll grab another Eldrazi Temple, holding up the Kozilek's command. And we'll pass. They have Solitude in hand currently. Alright, I doubt they take up their Aether Vials, but other things have surprised me. Yep, I think 3-2 is their sweet spot. Alright, well, once again, we are going to go for an X2 here on this Felia. You have another way to flicker it? You do not. Perfect. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we do have enough for Emrakul at this point. Misty Rainforest. Well, let's go Misty Rainforest crack. That'll be 2 less for Emrakul. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We'll have 2 remaining. Now, that does mean that we could go Sowing Mycospawn not kicked and at least get another body on board. Wouldn't be a half bad idea. They do have Solitude in hand. Let's just go Emrakul. Though, yeah. Because we would have to grab a temple in order to play it. I was thinking, is there a way for us to go Sanctum of Ugin? But there's not. Unfortunately. Now these overlords will come into play since they do have 2 extra turns. Alright. Well, we'll put Aether Vials on the stack. And I think we do tick them up. Yes. Yes. Draw. Concealed Courtyard. Kind of unfortunate. I really wanted to cast this Solitude. Well, let's go to combat. I don't think there's anything else for me to do is the problem. Do I need to place the triggers on the stack? Can I just forget to? Unfortunately not. Alright, and we'll pass. I guess maybe we shouldn't have ticked up the Aether Vial on 3, because now they can take it up to 5 and get rid of the Emrakul for what it's worth. Yeah. In retrospect. Should have ticked up the one on 2 to 3, let the one on 3 on 3, let them tick up. Yeah. Target opponent reveals their hand, non-land card, exile it. Oh, rude. Yeah. I mean, I guess then in that case, they would have just evoked the Sculler. Or a Scuttler. Utopia Sprawl is mana neutral. No reason to cast this right now. At least none that I can think of. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we'll just pass. And of course, we'll attack with the Emrakul. You'll then Aether Vial in. Yeah. So, a little bit of a misplay on my part, especially knowing that they had the Solitude in hand. We should not have ticked up the Aether Vial 2-4. We should have left it on 3 and ticked up the other one. That would have forced them to pitch the Scuttler. Or is it Sculler or Scuttler? It is Sculler. To Solitude to get rid of the Emrakul. That would allow me to play Sowing Mycospawn, to kick it, to get rid of a land. Yeah, so some misplays were made. But we have plenty of life now to recover. Well, I'll definitely block the Sculler. I was about to say, there's no reason for me not to. They'll return something to hand, probably a Solitude, because they can play one every turn now. My bad on that one. Opponent's thinking hard here on what they want to bring back. I guess they could bring back... I mean, Felia would be good. You could flicker the Solitude every turn. That might be the best choice. Otherwise, another Solitude. Recruit of the Guard's also a good option. We'll take the 8. Lord will come in. World Breaker. Well. 4, 5, 4, 7. We can at least get rid of... Ooh, I can get rid of a Sculler. Not sure that's worth it. We can also get rid of the Aether Vial. They can bring in a Recruiter. Okay, so this actually makes it interesting, right? Because they can bring in a Recruiter, but then they can't flash in a Charming Prince this time. So I can really get rid of anything here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be 4 mana. I could at least ramp... Get rid of the Baelmerk or get rid of the Sculler? Getting rid of the Sculler does get me into a Sanctum of Ugin, so my next 7 mana cast would activate, and I'd be able to get another Emrakul or any card I need. Versus getting rid of the Baelmerk might be the right choice. Let's get rid of the Sculler. You'll then flash in the Recruiter. I guess you could bring in a Flicker Wisp. Does that have flash? I want to say it might. But even if you flicker it, I'll still be able to play everything in my hand. So I think this is correct. Opponent's thinking. Okay, so that goes back to my hand. World Breaker comes in. We'll go ahead and cast a Utopia Sprawl in this forest. For red. We'll then cast the Sowing Mycospawn. And we will then grab a Sanctum of Ugin. So now whenever we activate that, we should be good. Recruiter comes in. Toughness 2 or less. So I mean, I guess you grab a Solitude at this point. So you can then play it to exile the World Breaker. Yep, Solitude comes in. You know, play the Solitude. Mycospawn comes in, and we pass. No attacks. And pass. I mean, what we need to do is clear board. And or take control of the turn. Yep, attacking all in. So that's 5, 10, 16, 17 damage. I mean, we can block the recruiter. Turn Solitude, and then what else? We know Solitude and Unknown. I guess what we could do is we could double block. Interesting thought. And Charming Prince. Yeah, let's go ahead and double block here. Forces the Solitude out, I suppose. Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best choice. Like I said, force out the Solitude at least, so whatever I have next I can play. Charming Prince, flicker the Overlord or the Recruiter? The Recruiter. Comes back, and you grab what? An Interrupter. Well, that is 5, 10, 19, 21, 22. You got it. I will... Actually, yes, I will concede. Okay, so Orzhav Midrange. Lost for game 1. I mean, there's a lot of X2s, so maybe return is still good here. Yeah, I'll bring in Amite. I think that's correct. On the play for game 2, I'll keep Reveal Devourer. We'll grab the Ugin's Lab. This is not necessarily correct, but I think it will ramp us fast enough to where it doesn't matter. One of the few times where I do want to reveal Devourer along with a fetch on the play, because we'll get the lab, we'll be able to crack the Rainforest, grab a forest, we'll be able to Ugin's Lab, Devourer. We can then play Talisman of Impulse. We can then Utopia Sprawl on the forest with the Talisman of Impulse for red. And then Utopia Sprawl again for green. And pass. So on turn 3 we'll untap with 2, 5, 6 mana, so we'll be able to kick with a Sowing Mycospawn. A turn 3 kicked Mycospawn is good. Let's get rid of the Concealed Courtyard and pass. We will fetch for a Ugin's Lab, not Ugin's Lab, a Eldrazi Temple. Flash and Ophelia. Okay, so you'll probably end up with an Overlord of the Baelmerk. If that's the case, I am slightly tempted to grab a Sanctum, but I think we'll grab the Temple because we draw into a land, then we can cast a Devourer. Otherwise, we can just Kozilek's Command the Felia next turn. As mentioned, they'll need another land for the Overlord in the first place. Another concern, of course, is they'll probably bring in White Orchid Phantom. There's Solitude. They'll get rid of the Myco Spawn. Myco Spawn down. Yep. There's the Marsh Flats. Crack. Let's see the Overlord. There is the Overlord of Baelmark. So you'll be able to flicker that. It'll come in as a creature. Imagine you'll grab the Solitude back. Yep, that makes sense. The fact that it can grab back any permanent in the graveyard, not just ones out of the ones that it milled, is kind of insane when you think about it. Yep. And you find the White Orchid Phantoms that I was worried about. So I'll grab a White Orchid Phantom. There's another Myco Spawn. Well, let's go ahead and kick another Myco Spawn. This time we'll get rid of the Shadowy Backstreet. And we'll grab another Temple. So now they need another land, specifically a Plains for the White Orchid Phantom. Do you have the land? That's the question. You do have the land. 'Tis unfortunate. Here comes the White Orchid Phantom. What do you target? Yep, that will resolve. We will go ahead and float the mana. Yes. For Forest. I am then going to cast Kozilek's Command. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to exile and scry. Should do one lands, bottom, Karn, bottom, and draw. Thought-Knot Seer is okay. Baelmark will attack. I guess you grab another White Orchid Phantom. That'd be my guesstimation, at least. Returns Felia. I will not block. I'll take the 5 down to 14. What do we draw into? Another Sowing Myco Spawn. Well, when in Rome, keep on destroying their lands, I suppose. Yes, we can do it like this, and then we can Thought-Knot Seer. Get rid of their Concealed Courtyard. Grab an Eldrazi Temple. Cast Thought-Knot Seer. Take a look at what they have in hand. Thought-Knot Seer resolves. Do you have a Solitude? Yeah, you have a Solitude. We know you have a Solitude. You did bring one back at some point in time. There's a Solitude, Pitching Recruiter. Sign the Thought Knot. Trigger, you draw a card, and then I get to peek at your hand. Skyclave Apparition, it's okay. Felia doesn't really do much right now. You could Ephem, so I think we get rid of Ephemerate. And pass, we don't want them flickering that White Orchid Phantom if we can help it. There's Iganjo. And they will bring back probably another Solitude. Especially because then I can't double block efficiently. Yep, return Solitude, so I cannot double block efficiently. I'll just let that be. Stomping Ground, you say? Well, Skyclave makes my life difficult because now I can't bridge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bridge. Well, you know what? Actually, bridge might be fine because they need a land. Well, let's attempt it then. Karn. Minus Karn. Yes. Ensnaring Bridge. Cast Bridge. There's Felia. You know about the Solitude. Stomping Grounds tapped and pass. In retrospect, we might have wanted to... No, I mean, I guess if they have the land and then the Skyclave, we'll want the blockers. But they don't have the land, and we can keep out the Skyclave. I think we win. There's Aetherfile, which is doing nothing right now. And I think this locks up the game. Worldbreaker will get rid of the Iganjo. Okay, so you might have an Ephem. Opponent's thinking hard here. I mean, I'll pretty much just can make sure that you never have another land again this entire game. That means that you won't be able to play your Skyclave Apparition to get rid of the Ensnaring Bridge. Grab the Liquid Metal Coating. And pass. Once again, I want to point out that our opponent is on a significant clock here at 7 minutes 25. I mean, if they let this game go long and attempt to win the match, I think we win on time, though I won't want to make the same mistake I made in match 1 and taking in a suboptimal hand as a result. But like, this should lock them out the game. They can flicker, but that's not going to interact with anything on board. They can Ephem the Bailmerk. That's fine. I mean, what can you grab that's of any relevance? You would need something for like, what, 1 mana that can deal with bridge. Trawler is not going to do anything. I guess that's a land for what it's worth. In response, target the plains with Liquid Metal Coating and pass. You'll float the 1. We're in upkeep though, so I don't think you can flash anything in for 1 mana. I guess Ephem your White Orchid Phantom if you really want to. Bailmerk. So they're looking for solutions to the current issue at hand. I mean, Witch Enchanter is a solution, but they're never going to be able to play it. As long as Karn's on board, that Aether Vial's dead. Here's a swamp. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get rid of the plains. Karn take up, get rid of the plains. And then a kicked Myco spawn. Get rid of the swamp. And we will grab a Sanctum of Ugin. Alright, and we got there. Yeah, like I said, I didn't foresee a way for our opponent to get out of that lock. On the draw for game 2, this hand is good if we can find a lab. Return is nice though. I will keep this. Reveal the Devour and pass. So they're really looking for a lab in the top 4. Though any soul land will be okay. Another Aether Vial. Trigger. No lab once again. I'm tempted to exile all 4. We'll go ahead and exile all 4, draw a fresh card. Malevolent Rumble is good here, so let's go Misty Rainforest and then pass. Another Aether Vial, that's fine. We'll move the end step. And once again on a 1-lander. Misty Rainforest, crack. We'll grab the Stomping Grounds tapped. There's that Ugin's Lab you're looking for. Well, we'll tuck the Devourer. We're going to cast the Talisman of Impulse. And then Malevolent Rumble. We'll grab the Eldrazi Temple. And then pass. And we'll hold up the ability to respond in case there's a situation where we need to sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn token. But that was a pretty good turn for us. Aether Vial will cast or put into play. White Orchid Phantom, that'll get rid of the lab. Yep, not much I can do about that. We'll grab a forest. Excuse me. And looks like they're passing. So I imagine they have a Felia in hand. Well, Utopia Sprawl's mana neutral, so let's put Utopia Sprawl on the forest, and we'll put it there for red. Perfect. Then we'll pass back to my opponent. Let's see if they have that Felia. They do not. At least they didn't flash it in. Resolve and resolve Imagine 3/2. Much like in game 1. Marsh Flats, yep. Crack the Marsh Flats, yes. Recruiter of the Guard. Yes, that resolves. Opponent's now down to 3 minutes on the clock. I feel like we have a lot of things to stabilize our board. Grabs another White Orchid Phantom. Cast the White Orchid Phantom. We'll target the Eldrazi Temple. Yes. In response, I will ramp and draw. Ugins Lab. I guess we could top that, but I'm going to say no. No. I guess I should have waited until after the trigger resolved. Yeah. Because I don't have to search, but I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bottom, top, and resolve. Yes. Forest. Yep. We'll take the 2. Aether Vial, yes. What are you flashing in? Flicker Wisp. What are you flickering? Yeah, that's fine. Annoying, but fine. This means that you're now really vulnerable to my next play. Forest Return. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that other mana would have been really nice because I would have been able to do both the return and the devourer. Now I can only do one or the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So I can go sack, sack. And then I can go 3, 4. Let's take a look what's in your hand. We'll get rid of the Solitude. And then let's go Kozilek's Return. And pass. Welp, I think you're in trouble now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are 1 short of casting this Devourer. You have 1 card in hand, and that is a Ephem. What did you draw? They overextended. Overlord of Baelmerk. To be fair, pretty good here. I mean, they could go White Orchid Phantom. I guess they can go Flicker Wisp. And Flicker what my Thought Knot. No, Flicker the Overlord. That makes sense. Then you can grab back something else on top. So then end step, it returns. I guess you could grab a Witch Enchanter in order to play that at instant speed and get rid of a Talisman. Yep, that makes sense. Yes. Then you found the Witch Enchanter. A bit aggressive here, but it does make sense. Karn the Great Creator. Well, we will cast Karn. We will minus Karn. We will grab Bridge. And it'll pass. You need to deal with Karn. Karn is a threat that you can't ignore. At the same time, you can't ignore the fact that your clock is at 1 minute and 10 seconds. And you, my friend, have a lot of triggers to stack. So I feel like your time is running out. Down to 50 seconds. Main phase. And I guess they can attack and then grab a Witch Enchanter from the grave since there is one already there. Yeah. And you'll return what to hand? Looks like Witch Enchanter. Yep, that makes sense. Well, I'll go ahead and block here. Trigger on the stack for you to draw. Well, we'll go ahead and just make a blocker instead, since you'll just destroy the bridge. And we'll grab an Eldrazi Temple and pass. There's Felia. Triggers on the stack. Well, opponent, it was a good match, but it will come to an end here. All right. Well, though it is a win to time, a win is in fact a win. With that being said, we'll be back for match 3. All right, and we are back for match 3 on the play for game 1. Hand does a whole lot of nothing. We will keep this. So we're going Eldrazi Temple, Forest Rumble. Think drop the Talisman here. No, let's drop the Return and reveal the Devourer. Trigger on the stack. I'm gonna say no to all of that and play Temple and pass. Now that really advanced my current hand at all, so I think this is correct. Well, I'd like that Utopia Sprawl. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A land would get me to 6. At the same time, if we ramp into a land... Let's go Talisman. Cracking this Flooded Strand. Is this a Spell Snare? No, Undercity Stewards. Okay. Keeps it on top. Well, Utopia Sprawl for red. And pass. So we are 1 land off of a kicked Mycospawn and a soul land off of Devourer. If we draw into neither, we can Malevolent Rumble. Well, let's go ahead and... No, I think it's right just for us to maybe go ahead and cast Sowing Mycospawn first. And then regardless of what we fetch, we can then still cast Malevolent Rumble thereafter. So I'll go for another temple. There's no guarantee that this rumble resolves. Do you counter the Myco spawn? Honestly, I think it's a pretty low impact card in the grand scheme of things. I'm a bit surprised about that, but I'll gladly take it. Well, there's a Kozilek's Return milled over, so I do like that. I'll take the Ugin's Lab. And then pass. And pass. There's an island. Okay, well, there's a Kozilek's command. We're not going to be casting Devourer here. So, no imprint. Let's go ahead and rumble again. Well, there's a Karn the Grey Creator, and that does demand a response, but do we want to play that? Is another question entirely. Yeah, we'll grab Karn. We'll go ahead and cast Karn. I imagine this gets countered. Yep, not surprised by that in the slightest. Consider their options, you say. That will resolve. Now, that is 6 cards in grave. I am considering to do this. 1, 2. Done. Do you have a force? This way they won't be able to cast a Oculus. Tapped land and pass. All right, and we'll pass holding up the Kozilek's command. Cling to dust. Well, that's rude. But it does work out in your favor. Orcish Bowmaster, that is fine. 5 cards in grave. So again, 1 short for the Oculus. There's a Psychic Frog. Yes, that will resolve. Let them attack in. We'll go to end step before casting his Kozilek's command. So Kozilek's command, let's scry draw and exile the frog. We will take a ping from this Bowmaster, but I think that's okay. I'll hold back 2 actually, just in case for a Spell Pierce. I would rather not get blown out by that. They'll counter it, that's fine. Well, let's go ahead and cast Devourer of Destiny and exile the frog. Question is, do they have that Oculus I was suspecting? Because now they do have 6 cards in the grave. Maybe there's a thought to casting Thought-Knot Seer. So I was correct about that Oculus. Unfortunate. Hello, Oculus friend. Well, they'll manifest. Oh, let's go ahead and attempt to cast Thought-Knot Seer. Counterspell makes sense. Thought Scour. Well, there's their Sink into Stupor. That's really important to note for us because that means, once again, a bridge is really good. We didn't play this Impulse into a Spell Snare. I'll go ahead and actually attack here. It's not like we're blocking the Abhorrent Oculus, so applying pressure to them is probably correct. We have the blocker in a way of Thought-Knot Seer as well. We'll go down to 10. Unfortunately, I do have at least one blocker return from the Manifest. Another Thought-Knot. Well, let's go ahead and cast the Thought-Knot. And we see a land. Unfortunate. Alright, well, let's once again apply pressure to the board. Double blocking the Thought-Knot. Cracking the Flooded Strand. Are you going to flip one of these? No. The other Sink into Stupor. So yeah, bridge is really good right now. Now they have to hold back a blocker for lethal is on board. Unearth, cycle. Alright, and pass. Comes down to this next draw. Psychic Frog, yep. So they will have a blocker, so lethal is no longer an option. Devourer would be good. A Karn would be good. Emrakul, the Promised End, is pretty freaking good. So let's go 5 mana. So unless they have a counterspell here, we should be fine. So that's a 3/4. Once again, they'll have to block. Let's go in with the Devourer. Maybe there wasn't any reason to go into Devourer in reality. Down to 3. Okay, you'll draw, or rather I'll draw. Ooh, well I do like that. Main. So we can, what are you? Oh, it's a Murktide underneath there, Jesus. So we can get rid of Oculus, or we can get rid of Frog, we get rid of Oculus, we get rid of the Manifest creature. So I guess we can Fatal Push, cast, targeting the Murktide. So Murktide down. And then we'll go to combat. attack and attack. Go to blocks. Block and block. And before damage, I want to exile 1, 2, 3. Give it flying. I want to activate again to exile 1, 2, 3. Again. Hello? One, two, three. And 1, 2, 3. Alright, and then pass. And then pass. No, I had a few outs. Okay, well, let's... Yeah, return feels even worse now that we know they have the cling to dust. We'll bring in the dismembers, and we'll run it back. And for game 1. Yeah, opponent's like, was that your only out? I'm like, no. We also had Karn. They haven't seen Karn yet, so I'm not actually going to mention Karn. But Emrakul was one of the outs. And Kozilek's Command definitely still would have ramped me pretty far into my deck to find an out. Devourer would have kept me in the game. But we were definitely still in it. I think Devourer, Command, Emrakul, Karn all kept me in. But we are on the draw for game 3. I mean, this is a turn 2 Rumble. But we have nothing really to go into it thereafter. This is the thing, right? So we could go turn 2 Rumble, yes, but then what? We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. It's not a bad hand, but it's not great either. I'll keep it. Maybe I should mulligan. Oh, we'll go Lab. That Cavernous Souls actually is really nice. We'll hold up the ability to respond in case they are able to Thought Scour, Unearth a Harbinger, but there's a frog, so we can pass. Well, we can't Kozilek's Command X2 there, so we'll instead Rumble. Does Rumble resolve? Or will we see a force? Okay, well, Regent down, we'll pass. A little bit unfortunate. Next turn we'll set up for a Sanctum of Ugin or Cavernous Souls. Probably a Cavernous Souls, actually. We want to make sure we can name Eldrazi before they land a Harbinger. Mind you, if they land a Harbinger this turn, we're in pretty rough shape. Psychic Frog attacks in. Second main. There's that third land. Yeah, I think we're going to see a Harbinger here. Yep. Unfortunate. Well, we'll play the Sanctum of Ugin and pass. I mean, it's an island. We are in a bit of a rough spot now. What are my outs is the question. They're drawing 2 cards a turn, dealing at least 3 damage a turn. They'll pitch the Unearth. Yeah. Well, Thought Knot doesn't do anything. No, I'm not sure what our outs are. 4. And as long as they have a counterspell in hand, we're pretty much dead. I don't foresee a way out of this. Down to 8. Lethal on board. We can cast nothing. GG's. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Well, with that... Oh, hold on. Sorry. Why did I think that was game 3? I was looking at my my data spreadsheet, and I was looking at this and like, oh, wait, no. I must have lost game 2, and this is game 3? No. I'm just crazy. For some reason. This is game 2. On the play for game 3. I'll keep it. It's a bit ugly. Fetches with the Flooded Strand. Autograve untapped into a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize, yes. I imagine the best pick here is that Kozilek's command. Once again, the versatility that Kozilek's command offers is unmatched. I don't think you can pick anything less. Especially knowing that I have a second temple. Yeah, okay. Yep, that makes sense. Well, another Utopia Sprawl is kind of upsetting as we have no forests. At least not as of right now. Flooded Strand and pass. Jesus Christ, all of them? What the fresh hell's going on? Yeah, so we will attempt to rumble. I imagine you counter it. Yep, and we'll pass. Maybe there's an argument since they knew about the Rumble and the Talisman to play the Talisman, since we know for a fact they want to counter the Rumble, and they don't know if we had drawn into another land. So there is an argument there, I feel, but let's go ahead and crack the Windswept Teeth. Let's grab a forest. Utopia Sprawl. For black, Utopia Sprawl. For green, and then cast a Talisman of Impulse. And then Utopia Sprawl for red. No, we don't need that. So for black. And pass. Okay. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. We can cast almost everything in our deck without fail. We just need to draw into action now. We have plenty of it. Just no more Utopia Sprawls, please. We really don't need more of that. Down to 13. Not enough. Oh, I guess they have enough for a Murktide. We did see that they had a Murktide in the last 2 games. Rumble. Well, let's go with Rumble. Do you have a Force? You do have the Force, and you pitch the Dimir Oculus. I'm kind of okay with that, but we are going to take 7 down to 6. So our next draw really needs to be good. And if they have a counter spell, it can't be a spell like Rumble or Kozilek's Command. It really needs to be like a Devourer of Destiny or an Emrakul. Because 4, 8, 10, 12... Oh, hold on. This is not lethal. This is 12. Yeah, we're down to... Mega Spawn isn't enough. There's nothing we can do with that. It's 5 in the air for the Murktide. You got it. Unfortunate. Well, GG's. Some tight games, but some unfortunate top decks just were not in my favor. That being said, we'll be back in a bit for game 3. Or, sorry, match 4. Alright, and we are back for match 4 on the play for game 1 against the French Goblin. And I'll keep this hand. I kind of want to find a green source here with this Devourer if I can help it. I think that will result in an early Emrakul. Alright, reveal Devourer, trigger on the stack. Trigger resolves. I'd imagine. Well, let's go with a Uggin's Lab. We'll go ahead and play Eldrazi Temple and pass. And pass. We'll play another Eldrazi Temple and cast a Thought-Knot Seer. I'm gonna say this might be humans. No, it's another version, this time an Esper Midrange. Well, let's get rid of... See, Overlord of the Bailmerk can find something that can flicker it, so I think we get rid of the Overlord of the Bailmerk. And then pass. And pass. Flooded Strand. And pass. Well, let's play Uggin's Lab. Let's tuck the Emrakul. Let's go to combat. Attack with Thought-Knot Seer. And then cast Karn the Great Creator. Minus Karn. No artifacts in exile. They will be able to cast Skyclave Apparition next turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll be able to cast Devourer for what it's worth. Interesting. I'm not sure here, to be honest. Maybe... Yeah, this kind of feels a bit rough. We'll grab... Walking Ballista and pass. And oh, yep, and then they will surveil and pass. They'll take Karn as expected. Play Eldrazi Temple. And cast Devourer of Destiny. This way they can't Efem it. I mean, they are in danger here. This is lethal on board. Not to mention you have this Walking Ballista X2 next turn. I guess they will be able to grab a Solitude, however. Yep. Recruit a guard, trigger resolves. They'll grab a Solitude. I'm somehow sitting here wishing Solitude was an X3. Flicker Wisp. They must already have the Solitude then. Yeah. Pitching Philia. Getting rid of Devourer. Efem the Solitude. Yes. Getting rid of Thought Knot, drawing a card. So one unknown in hand. Our red source would be amazing. Ask and you shall receive. Cast Talisman of Impulse. Cast Kozilek's Root. Actually, do I need to do that right now? Flicker Wisp will come in. Let's go to combat. Pass the turn, hold up the command, or rather the return. They'll target with Efem. And in response, probably should have still done this on my turn in retrospect, because if they have another Efem, then it would be a little bit unfortunate. They'll be able to flicker the token, so I won't have it anymore. Two unknowns in hand. We do have a Malevolent Rumble now. Well, let's cast Malevolent Rumble. We'll grab a World Breaker. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're short. Well, let's then cast Walking Ballista X equals 2. And pass the turn. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yes, we have the 13 prepped and ready. Emperor of Bones. Well, that's mildly annoying. Imagine you take the Kozilek's Return. Yeah, that's fine. I guess I could have put a stop on their end step and killed the Bones. No, I really couldn't have, because then they can just adapt it. Yeah. So 4. Actually, no, that still works out. Ping the Flicker Wisp. Bowmaster. Yes. targets Ballista. Target Bowmaster. And now I have Emrakul next turn. And we got there. All right. Okay, so we still have time in the challenge. Right now I'm dual queuing, so I have a challenge going on in the background. A lot of their creatures are X2s, so I think we keep command in. We'll bring in one Haywire Mite and run it back. I think because there is Aether Vials here, there might be an argument for cutting the Soin Mycospawn and bringing in Dismember. There is a thought. Huh. Because land destruction doesn't matter as much. At the same time, Mycospawn can help us survive through White Orchid Phantom. On the draw for game 2, we mulligan this hand. We'll keep this hand. We want the Devour, we want the Temple, we want the Impulse. I think we got rid of the World Breaker here. Reveal Devourer and pass the turn. Flooded Strand and pass. Trigger. We're looking for a lab. There's the lab. Lab. Devourer. Talisman. Pass. Because then we can go Mycospawn and Rumble. Though if they have a White Orchid Phantom on turn 2, that would be unfortunate. Okay, Flooded Strand, crack, down to 19. I mean, you're playing blue. It's not outside the realm of possibility that you've brought in Consign to Memory. Shock, Watery Grave. Yeah, you brought in Consign to Memory. Okay, yeah. Well, pass. I mean, that actually does hurt us a lot, because it means we no longer have a green source. Overlord of the Baelmerk. Well, there's another Overlord of Skyclave, and they will grab the Skyclave. Well, that hurts us more than an opponent probably knows, since we no longer have a green source. Let's see what they have in hand. Skyclave, Flickerwist, Ephem. We'll get rid of the Skyclave here. And pass. I mean, they can flicker the Thought Knot, but that's not the end of the world. There's the Marsh Flats. Well, I guess, you know what, fair. I should have taken the Flicker Wisp, because now they can flicker the Overlord of the Baelmerk. Yeah. I was thinking about, well, they can Skyclave the Thought Knot, it draws them a card, but now this basically does the same. Yeah, mistakes were made. I think we probably lose here because of that. Again, a deck I clearly have not played enough against. Ugh. Yeah, mistakes were made. I think we just moved the game 3. I think that mistake was game losing. I'm trying to think of a situation where we can get out of this. And it just doesn't really feel like much, but we should try. There's the Witch Enchanter. Flicker Wisp flickers the Overlord. Oh no, Flicker's my... Oh, that's right, it is any permanent, ain't it? I guess I could have returned... Yeah, so that's a little bit strange because I could have returned... Well, no, yeah, so I could have returned it to hand. And then we could have tucked the Devourer. Okay, yeah, I think this is over. So let's just concede at this point. I shouldn't have passed, realizing that right now, because once again, exile another target permanent, which does include lands. That is actually pretty significant. So I do need to, if Ugin's Lab is untapped, need to hold up the ability to respond to a Flicker Wisp. On to play for game 3. I'll keep this hand. Alright, Windswept Teeth. Correct Windswept Teeth. Forest. Sprawl on red. And pass. And pass. Alright, untap. Eldrazi Temple. Let's proceed to Rumble. Let's grab Emrakul the Promised End. And pass. We'll hold up the ability to respond in case they attempt to kill the Eldrazi spawn token. Ember Bones is fine. We'll take something out of our grave. There's the Thought Knot. Yep, that resolves. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, let's go ahead. Do we kick a Myco spawn or not? Let's imprint the Emrakul. Let's ramp and let's exile. There's a world where I do this. Ramp, exile. So ramp, exile. We'll have 2. I can then ramp again with sowing Myco spawn. Yeah, let's do that. At the same time, Emrakul the Promised End is pretty nuts. Okay, yeah, so let's do this. Probably shouldn't have revealed Emrakul, but it does save it from a Thoughtseize. We are definitely getting rid of the Emperor Bones. We will just ramp and exile. Then pass. So that leaves us with 6 card types in Yard. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we definitely have the Emrakul next turn. Even if they were to get rid of the Eldrazi Temple. The only thing is, Emrakul's pretty fragile to Solitude. Yes, that's fine. No ephems here. end step and return Emrakul to hand. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The problem is, what is this doing if they have a Solitude? I guess we just kind of play their hand poorly. Alright, we'll pass. Do you have the Solitude is the question of the day. You do. Well, we'll gain 13 life for what it's worth. And it also got rid of what? Another Solitude. Well, we can play a Recruit of the Guard. Okay, so we actually do a lot of damage here. Let's go ahead and Trawler, play Bog. We will bolt you. We'll play Recruiter of the Guard. And then fail to find. I mean, I might as well take a peek at your deck. Nothing I'm not expecting. Done. And then pass. And pass. And I'll hold up the ability to respond. So, Recruiter Guard, Aether Vial. And we'll take 3. Opponent's thinking hard here. So we know Recruiter card, Aether Vials in hand. Marsh Flats. Okay. And I guess doing this allows you to play both Recruiter Guard and a White Orchid Phantom. That does take me out of a Kozilek's command. We'll still kick a Myco Spawn nonetheless to get rid of your blue source. Yep. Yes. There's the White Orchid Phantom as anticipated. Yep. What is happening here? Yep. Oh, interesting. Yes. We are running short on forest, I will say that. Alright. Well, we can play another Ugin's Lab here. No imprint, however. We know about the Aether Vial in hand. Well, let's go ahead and kick the Sowing Myco Spawn. Get rid of the blue source. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's grab a Sanctum of Ugin. And pass. Because now we can cast Kozilek's Command X5. And we can crack Sanctum of Ugin for another Emrakul. Yep, that will happen. Misty Rainforest I'm a little bit concerned about using, but we'll do it on their end step. I will attack here. They'll block. Unfortunate, but reasonable. Alright, let's see what you got, friend. What is this next draw? The combat, you'll attack for 5, down to 20, that is fine. Skyclave Apparition targeting what? In response. Actually, before I do that, Misty Rainforest, crack. For Stomping Grounds, shock. Add green. Done. Oh, we missed 1 mana. For frick's sake. Annoying, but not the end of the world. Emrakul. Counter Souls, no. Karn, no. Command, top. Soy Megaspawn, no. Thought Not Seer, no. And Kozilek's Return, yes. That's fine. And my turn. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Emrakul, the Promised End. Let's go to combat. Attack with Soin Mycospawn. Will you block? You will not. Perfect. Alright, triggers on the stack. I'll leave them both at 1. No, and no. Draw. Skyclave Apparition. Target non-permanent you don't control. Yes. So we'll go to main. And then I will... Oh, target non-land, non-token. That's still fine. Yep. We will grab the Sorin Mycospawn. And then we will attack with, let's say... I think the Recruit of the Guard is actually the most concerning thing here. We'll go to blocks. And now we just hold up the Kozilek's Return. And that should be the game. Trying to figure out what they could really do here. I guess maybe a Flicker Wisp question mark. Well, let's go ahead and cast Kozilek's Return. And we got there. Good stuff. All right. Well, we will be back for match number 5. All right, and we are back for match 5 on the play for game 1 against Wolf. Hand is not keepable. I mean, it's a turn 2 Rumble. We have an Emrakul in hand. It's slow as hell, but it could be kind of nutty. I'll keep it. You know what? Screw it. This is a risky one, but it could pay off in dividends. So you know what? Let's pass. Put a stop on end step. Amulet of Vigor. Well, shoot. This is Titan. I'm scared. No. I'm scared now. This might be too slow. Let's go Shifting Woodland. And Malevolent Rumble. So... Karn can grab for Chalice on 0 next turn. It can, but is that the right play? Yeah, I think it's our safest play. And pass. We'll hold up the response just in case we need to sack the spawn. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can make a construct. No, spelunking. So even destroying an amulet doesn't do much here. A Ugin's Lab would be good, actually. No, it wouldn't be enough, though. We need 6 mana, and right now we're on 3, going on to 5, even with an Ugin's Lab. We know they have a bounce land. So at a minimum, they have 5 mana next turn. Oh no, actually, 2, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Oh no, sorry, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. They have 9 mana next turn. Yeesh. Another Saga too. Not great. Thought-Knot Seer might genuinely be the correct answer here. Aftermath Analyst, yes. They would have been able to combo me out with Aftermath Analyst there. So that did work out in my favor. Question is, what else do they have? World Turf will go for Spelunking. Spelunking will then be able to draw a card. Unless they drew into a Titan, in which case the game's over. There's the Spelunking, though. Oh, did they find something? Oh no. They found the Titan? No, another Spelunking. Jesus. Yeah, sure, just draw all the cards. Another Gruul Turf. I mean, that tells me they must have something, right? And also they haven't played their land for turn. Oh, did they find the Titan? Green Sun Zenith X6. Yeah, they got it. Now, they have the Handwear in hand, though. That shouldn't be an issue, right? They haven't played a land. If they play the Handwear, we'll concede. All they need to grab is, like, Valakut and Mirror Pool. Lotus Field Mirror Pool. Yeah, that works, too. They'll make another copy of Titan. So like I said, all I need to see is that Handwear Battlements hit the field and I will concede. Actually, let me just check. Did you... Turn 3, puts a lore counter, puts a trigger, plays Gruul Turf. Oh, they did play Gruul Turf. Okay, so they can't actually... What the fresh what? What is that? Okay. Sure. I'm a bit confused, but yeah. Misty Rainforest. 5 card types. Crack Misty. Rumble again. Temple. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. Pass 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so we do have Emrakul next turn if we don't lose. I'm so confused. I feel like they could have won last turn. All they needed was to find a way to put Handwear Battlements into play. And they probably could have done that by grabbing another Titan, grabbing a Teleria West into a Summoner's Pact, to then grab just a Arboreal Grazer. Yeah. So I feel like they could have won. 1000%. I mean, we're not blocking, we can't. As long as we get a turn, I think we should be able to win. Remind me what Boseiju reads. Boseiju, target artifact that an opponent controls. Unfortunate. I guess I could have Asuva come in as a copy of Lotus Field and sack their lands next turn if I get a turn. That would work. That's an option. Okay, you get the Teleria West now. Was this too late? Snake Growth Chamber. Oh, you didn't tap though. I'm so confused. You haven't played a land for turn, I guess. But you now don't have double blue. I guess you could Vesuva Lotus Field. Are you going to try and go for the Aftermath Analyst combo? I'm going to say that this pilot might be a bit new to Titan. And Titan can be difficult to learn. Just plays the Handwear? Yeah, that's fine. Temple. So let's... cast Emrakul. Can I kill you with your own deck? Potentially, actually. What? What are you doing? Okay. Well, I'll be real. That was unexpected. Can I kill you with your own deck, though? That's the real question. Draw. So, Dryad Arbor, Green Sun Zenith. Yes, I think I can kill you with your own deck now. So let's go Vesuva. Oh, I need to go to main. Go Vesuva. Choose a land to copy. Lotus Field. What? What's happening here? Lotus Field. Oh, on the battlefield. I'm a dummy. Submit Growth Chamber. I was thinking, no. So stack, stack, stack. We then untap. Tap. Untap, tap. Oh, that's so funny. I'm sorry, opponent. I cannot help but to laugh that I play your deck better than you to the point where I win with it. That's so effing funny. Okay. Well, let's run it back. Like, no shame to opponent. I want to make this clear. Like, no shame in learning a new deck. If anything, I commend you for picking up Amulet Titan with how difficult it is to pilot and how difficult it is to learn. It is not an easy deck, but once you have a good grasp on it, once you have your mind wrapped around what Titan can do, it's such a good deck. I mean, I'm definitely tempted to play it and bring it to RC Portland. I have it built. But I think I'll stick with Eldrazi Ramp just because it does have it plays really well into more decks and especially into Grinding Station. On the draw for game 2. Man, a 7-drop would have made this so much better. At the mulligan. I will keep. It does a little bit of nothing, so we need to draw into the right cards, though. That is the only thing. If we draw into the right cards, we should be good. Amulet of Vigor, yes. Okay, Thought Knot makes this so much better. Utopia Sprawl on green. Pass. And pass. Beseiju, I'm fine seeing that. Another lab. Thought Knot. Titan. I do want to make it clearly known that I was dead to rights on game 1. Like, if I was piloting their deck against me, I would have lost. Or at least Eldrazi Ramp would have lost. Why play Echoing Depths? Oh, I guess to become my Verdict Catacomb? Confused. Fetch, I guess? Eh? I feel like it would have been smarter for you to get the Simic Growth Chamber out. But I guess you can play a Boreal Grazer. Yeah, I'm confused on that one. So I think it's right for us to go after Breaker here. Let's first attack. See if they have anything. Uggin's Lab. Tuck the Emrakul. I'll go for more green. And hold up the ability to respond just in case it's needed. Three, Spelunking. Yes, that's fine. You draw a card. Okay. I mean, they only have 2. They haven't played a land this turn, have they? So they have 2, 4, +1 with the Boreal Grazer. So that is a total of 5 mana right now. Yes, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that resolves. 4. GS green something for Azusa. Dryad. Okay. That's fine. Yes. Utopia Sprawl again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yes, we can net neutral the Sprawl. And we'll get rid of the Dryad Arbor. Okay, we're on the beatdown plan at this point. I mean, if they draw into a Titan, they do get the Titan on board. Because they have 5, and then Boreal Grazer acts as a +1 to 6. So they do have Titan if they draw it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. We're short 3 on the Emrakul. Well, let's go with Breaker and get rid of Saga. That's 9, so lethal's on board. They need to kill me this turn, basically. I should actually hold up the ability to respond, just in case it's relevant. I'm not sure it will be. It's either they win or I do. I don't think there's any in between. The thing is, I'm trying to think of the path forward for a win here. Because even if they grab Titan, right? They'll have exactly the mana. They can haste the Titan, so there's the Grazer. Okay, so they might have the Titan here. Like I said, the Boreal Grazer is a +1. If they have the Titan, though, they can haste it. But I don't think that's going to be enough. Because they can't copy it at that point. They'll be short. X5. For what? Oh, okay, they were just short 1. Alright, well, we did get there. Not too bad at all. So, at the end of the day of that league, that is a 3-2 record. I'll take it, especially taking a win off of Amulet Titan. Once again, opponent clearly a bit new to the deck, so I can't fault them for not playing optimally. Again, it is a difficult deck to learn as someone who does pilot Titan and still practices here and there. But that being said, solid record, some close losses, some misplays here and there that I think I could have done something slightly different, if not sequenced differently. I think I did mention that throughout. But overall, pretty happy with the results. With that being said, as always, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please do consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't, do consider commenting down below. Especially if you did notice any misplays I made, any lines that I missed, or just some general feedback. As much as I hope that you guys learn from me and both my successes and my failures, I hope to learn from you all as well. And finally, if you do get to this point in the video and haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing. We are getting closer and closer to our next goal of 500 subscribers, at which point we'll be able to monetize the channel. The reason why this is relevant is because we'll then be able to save up towards a streaming PC and potentially stream live on Twitch. With that being said, folks, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!